Hey guys, what's up? Scottish Duck here, once again. Right, collection update. I think this is the longest I've ever went without doing a collection update, guys, you know? I still kept the pile of games here, which has gotten very big, so right off the bat, this is going to be a pretty long video. But the reason there was actually a reason why I went so long without it. And it's a bit of a, in hindsight, it's a bit of a silly reason, actually. But regardless, we're gonna go through some games now, and I'm gonna give all my little silly opinions on it, so hope you enjoy it. But yeah, a little story at the end here, a bit of a sad one, but yeah, let's just get on with it, shall we? So, first of all, I picked this up. This actually was a bit of a big buy, to be honest, and you guys know, right, like, well, maybe you don't, actually. One of my great joys as of late is fan translations. Not just like getting fan translations of like really like obscure games that were only released in Japan, but games that I can like basically burn to a disc or put on an EverDrive and like play on actual hardware. For some reason that gives me such a buzz. It gave me that sort of buzz when I played like Police Knots on the Saturn, Sakura Wars, all that stuff. And this came out. And I actually just recently finished playing Grandia on the Saturn. All these are Saturn games, by the way, incidentally. That's just a coincidence, but yeah. This right here is Bulk Slash. This was like a 3D sort of like mecha game in Japan. And how do I describe this? Think of it like Sakura Wars, but it's like 15 minutes long. And yeah, you're just in robots fighting in the air, and it's more actiony instead of like, you know, turn-based. And yeah, I loved this actually, and the translation, the fan translation I should say, was so good, okay? Because they went above and beyond. They actually included voice acting for all the characters, and the voice acting is really fucking good. Mainly because, I don't know if this was intentional or not, right? But the voice acting in this game really just oozes that classic like 90s, 80s anime English dub like era, you know. It sounds corny, it sounds like they didn't get the best talent to do it, but there's a charm to it. And like, again, I don't know if that was intentional, but that's exactly what it sounds like, and I love it, you know. And I played this game like about 10 times or something. Like I said, it's very short. You can finish it in like 15 minutes or something. I definitely got down to about that time. But there's a lot of replay value in that you basically pick your favorite girl and have that girl with you at the end and get their ending and all that. And yeah, I made it my mission to get through that as much as possible, and I did. Fantastic game, really is. And this version right here, there was two versions of this game released in Japan apparently. There was a later version which had like sort of like a red border around it. And the thing about this is that there's like a, I don't know what you would call it, like a packaging defect on it, because the front cover here, which is also the manual, is kind of like physically glued on. Okay, they fucked up the packaging somehow, and they fixed it in the re-release. So that's what this is. So I don't know if this is like more rare or less rare than that other version, but fuck it. I have this one here, and it's really nice. So yeah, Bulk Slash. Highly recommend it. Very, very good game. Definitely play the fan translation if you get the chance. So, next up, I got a couple of Switch games here. Now, this really, like, exemplifies just how long ago it was since I fucking did a collection update. Shin Megami Tensei 5. Okay, where do I start with this one? So, I say this on my streaming and other videos all the time, but I don't like Pokemon games. And when I say I don't like Pokemon games, not necessarily that franchise, I hate those RPGs that let you sort of, like, build up your own party, you know? Like, the party that I'll have if I get to the final boss will be completely different from the party you'll have when you get to the final boss, okay? My brain doesn't like that. I hate the idea of thinking, what if this party's shite? Like, should I go get these other monsters to be in my party so that I could do that boss? But then if I grind them up a lot, what if it ends up being useless later? All that goes through my head when I play a game like this, okay? And I hate it, okay? And I'm not saying it's ever, like, stopped me from liking a game, but it's definitely a factor. And when this game came out, I knew that was going to be an issue, but I thought, no, I want to give it a proper go, a proper chance, we'll see how we get on with it. And I got on fairly well with Shin Megami Tensei 5, guys. It's a good game, you know? But I only got about 10 hours in before calling it quits, mainly because, and this was like 6 months ago, and it's still not really been talked about, but there was like evidence in the game files and all that the game was going to be coming to like PS4 and PC, and the game is beautiful on the Switch, you know, pretty as fuck game, but it struggles. It's rough, you know, like the frame rate and like the performance is just not there. So if there's a chance that this is going to be coming out on like more powerful hardware, I think I'm going to double dip and go for that, you know, and put all my time sort of into that. But yeah, Shin Megami Tensei 5, I really do wish I liked Shin Megami Tensei more, you know? I don't like it as much as I should, but that's that anyway. Good game. I'd give it a thumbs up. Hope that it does come out on other platforms, and hopefully I'll give it another go. So, yeah. Okay, now on to a more recent one. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I really like it. This is one of those games where there's not too much to say. It's really good. You know, not the biggest Kirby. Or maybe I am. Whenever I always say I'm not the biggest Kirby fan, but whenever I play like a Kirby game, it always like just makes me smile. You know, like I remember I got probably properly into Kirby all the way back with Kirby's Adventure Wii for the Wii. Obviously, in America it was called Kirby's Return to Dreamland. Do Kirby fans still like that game? Because I loved it, and I get the impression that, in hindsight, a lot of the Kirby fan base kind of regards that as one of the weaker entries, whereas the ones on like the 3DS, like Planet Robobot and Triple Deluxe, were like considered way better. I know Star Allies for the Switch was considered a bit of a low point, but regardless, this one's brilliant. I'm absolutely loving it. Still to finish it, but yeah, I'm playing it today as a matter of fact, so yeah, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, hell yes. Next up I have here, this is actually quite a cool thing. This isn't even a video game, okay? The Knight's Journey of Dreams official soundtrack right here. This is quite a cool thing for me to have, because back in the day I would like torrent, illegally download a lot of like video game soundtracks. You know, I would just find these torrents and I would download them and I would like get them all the time, and this was one of the ones that I would listen to the most. I had like a Sony Walkman, you know, the MP3 player that they had out, that I would like use throughout like sort of high school and college, and I had the Knight's Journey of Dreams soundtrack on it, and I just listened to it all the fucking time. It was seriously one of my absolute favorite listens throughout that time in my life. So yeah, like it really is a big deal for me, guys. Like, that time in my life was honestly those sort of like early college years, around when this game sort of came out, around that sort of era in gaming. It was one of my favorite times of my life. Not to get all philosophical here, but it was not even the right way to use that word, but whatever. I just associate a lot of good times with that time in my life, and I was listening to this music a lot during it as well. So yeah, Knight's Journey of Dreams soundtrack, really, really glad to have that. Right, now we have like a big list of PlayStation games, PS2 to PS5, and yeah, let's just go for it. Okay, so shoutouts to Tama on my stream. Okay, Ephemeral Fantasia. Okay, now, yeah, Tama, if you're on my stream, basically like said, Duck, you ever heard of Ephemeral Fantasia? And I kind of was like, you're taking the piss, aren't you? Like, I just thought that was the most generic sounding JRPG name there was. But I looked it up, and sure enough, there it was. And the lore about this game is actually quite interesting. Well, not the lore, the sort of like background history of it, because it was originally supposed to be a Dreamcast game, and it was supposed to include like cameos from other Sega characters. Like, I think Dio Hazuki was supposed to be in this game at some point, and also Yu Suzuki and Yuji Naka were supposed to have some sort of cameo in this game. It was like developed and published by Konami, so I guess they were just like having a working relationship with Sega back when they were supporting the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast died, they're like, okay, let's port this over to the PS2, and that's what they did. So yeah, after hearing all that, I've not popped the game in at all, but after hearing all that, I was just like, you know what, I'm going to have to check this game out. So there it is. Wonder, we'll probably get around to it at some point, but there we go. Next up, I streamed this game not too long ago. And I kind of like looked at my shelves and I was like, wait a minute, I don't actually own this game, what the fuck? And that's Sly Raccoon, the first one for the PS2. I own the Sly collection for the PS3, I don't know. I know I had this at some point, but I guess I traded it in or something, but I was just like, oh shit, I don't actually own the PS2 original version. So I wanted to get it, and I got it, you know. Sly's really good. I like Sly. So there's that. And I guess in, like, thinking about the sort of, like, Sony platform and shit, I picked this up again. The Ratchet and Clank trilogy. The story about this, actually, was that when this first came out, I picked it up. I got all 3 platinum trophies. Was pretty happy to do that. But I remember being, like, so upset with this. Because it's a bit of a... There's a lot of iffy things with this port. And the Ratchet and Clank games are just games that I know so well that whenever something was off, I was just like... It was literally like Leonardo DiCaprio, you know? It was like... Yeah, and for some reason... In my mind, I was just like, ugh, I don't need to play this. I've got the PS2 original. So as soon as I got all 3 platinum trophies, I traded it in. Bit of a silly thing to do in hindsight, honestly. So, yeah, I decided, fuck it. Nah, let's pick this up again. So I've got it here. Still bad to have. So, yeah. Ratchet and Clank. Right, next up. This was kind of an impulse buy. I don't even know how you say this. Absolov, End of Gods. This was a total impulse buy. There was this game shop in Glasgow that had just opened up, so I'm like, you know what, I'll go in there and I'll buy a couple of games, and I just picked this up. I think they had like a 2 for X amount deal or whatever it was. Played it for about half an hour, couldn't really get into it, so... There's that, yeah. It was one of those, like, horror games where you're sort of like defenseless. You know, there's quite a few of them like on likes of Steam and all that. So there wasn't really anything that like greatly stuck out at the time when I was playing it anyway. So I don't know. Maybe we'll go back to it at some point, but there we go. And also in that game shop trip, I picked this up. Sonic Colors Ultimate. I already had this digitally, but I decided to pick it up so I could have it physically as well. My take on this, I don't know if I even said it at the time, because, you know, a few months have went by, everybody's calmed down, because when this game came out, it was Armageddon on Twitter and all that. So many GIFs were shared without really much context, to be fair. Yeah, I have a lot to say about this fucking game. Not just the game itself, but the community's, like, reaction. Because I feel like there was so much... The Sonic fanbase should not surprise me anymore. It really shouldn't. But when this came out, and the amount of people, the sort of shit that people were saying, and the fact that, like, you know, GIFs were being shared from emulators and stuff, like, the fact that people were so willing to go so hard to, like, destroy this game's reputation, not entirely undeservedly, you know, there's definitely some fucking issues with this, especially on the Switch, but yeah, I was, like, surprised. I do think this is a good remaster, okay? With problems, and I do hate the fact that so many Sonic games have to be talked about with an asterisk next to them. It's like, this game is good, but, you know, it was like that with Team Sonic Racing, and it's like that with this, you know? But a few months later, Blind Squirrel, who I think were responsible largely with a lot of the bad things to do with this remaster, did get their act sort of together. They even, like, did the Switch version, you know, justice to a decent extent. And this version is like... Because when I first played through this on my PS5, incidentally, I didn't really have any issues, you know? I just played it and, like, that was it. Maybe ran into a little glitch or two, but nothing, like, too bad to what was being shared online. But, yeah, at the end of the day, Sega really, you know, they could have put more effort into this. Alright? They could have, like... Not even necessarily, like, effort. They could have, like... looked at it more so as not to, so that these fuck-ups that surrounded the game didn't happen. But that wasn't really the case. It kind of came out, and this game's reputation's already kind of sullied, which is a shame because Sonic Colors is definitely one of the best Sonic games there is, as far as I'm concerned. But whatever, we got that. Okay, so we got a few PS5 games to end things off. Ghost of Tsushima, Director's Cut. My mum got me this for either my Christmas or my birthday, I believe. And I think it was Christmas, actually. And it's really fucking good, you know. I was in kind of a... It put me in kind of a Sucker Punch mood, which actually led me to pick up Sly Cooper there. Because I always meant to pick this game up on the PS4, but then I heard this PS5 version was coming out, and I was like, I'll wait for that. And yeah, it's a big game. you know? And I did, like, everything in this game, guys. It was one of those things where it's like, I can't even know do anything, fuck. And it was, not to get too hot takey here, but it was one of those games that genuinely made me think, games can be a bit too long, can't they? And I know people don't like talking about that, and neither do I to an extent, but yeah, this game really sucked up a lot of my time. It was a lot of fun, but, you know, it was fun that could have been compressed, I suppose, so I don't know. I feel like that's such a weird complaint to say a game's too long, alright? I feel like there's a lot to unpack there, so I don't want to, like, commit to saying, oh, this game's too long right off the bat. All I'll say is that Ghost of Tsushima was really good, okay? Sucker Punch did a good job here, so yeah. Fantastic. Next, I think my mum got me this as well, actually. And it's still in its cellophane, because I, for some reason, ended up picking it up digitally first, but then asked my mum to get it for my birthday or whatever. But yeah, Tales of Arise. And I'm sorry to say, but when this came out, it was around the same time as Lost Judgment, which obviously with Lost Judgment, I played the shit out of that first. You know what I mean? In fact, Lost Judgment just had the Kaito files come out this week, and that was brilliant as well. So it's like, yeah, I'm thinking to myself, I could finish Tales of Arise before Lost Judgment comes out. I didn't. And it just got forgotten about. And I feel really bad because the Tales of series was a series that I adored, but I really think has gotten a bit stale. It definitely got a bit stale, like, I think starting with Xillia. Xillia was a game that I don't really look back on too fondly. Pretty much everything that came out after that, I was like, eh. But this was clearly, like, a nice shake-up for the series, and I think they did, like, a good job there, so... and apparently it's done very well as well, so that's great. So, yeah, good job, Namco. And hopefully I'll get back to this at some point, along with Shin Megami Tensei and a bunch of other RPGs that I've been failing to put some time into. Speaking of which, Elden Ring. There we go, fucking Elden Ring. That game that everybody's all gone on about, eh? Yeah, I've only played this for like an hour. I don't like Soulsborne, alright? And the reason I picked this up was because a friend of mine accidentally bought 2 copies. And he was like, Donald, do you want this? I'm like, aye. So I gave him... he didn't give it to me for nothing, but I didn't pay full price for it. Regardless, so I was just like, okay, let's see if we can give this a go. And I do still want to give it a proper go. I don't think I've really like gotten to a point where like, I don't like this. I did die I did suffer a few frustrating deaths by choosing to go in certain directions in the open world, but I don't know. I don't think it's gonna change my mind on Soulsborne, but I don't want to like commit to that. All right, because who knows what'll happen. But yeah, Soulsborne just never really appealed to me that much. They're good games, just not for me. So, and yeah, so we'll see how we get on with that, eh? And lastly, we have Yakuza Like a Dragon, the PS5 version. I just got this really cheap, decided to pick it up. Love RGG games, so of course I picked this up. So there you go. I'm actually just thinking, did I show Lost Judgment in a previous collection update? I don't think I did. Like, I have Lost Judgment, the case over there. So obviously I picked it up and all that, so should that have been in this pile, but I just forgot about it? If it was, there you go, Lost Judgment. Like, you probably knew I got that anyway, it's an RGG game. Okay, so, now, here is my little story, which kind of stopped me doing, like, this is such a silly thing. I look at this, I'm just like, this stopped me doing, like, collection updates for 6 months. This is so weird. I think because I couldn't talk about this game without talking about this, okay? Now, where to begin? You guys know about 6 months ago when Nintendo launched the the Nintendo 64 games on the Switch? The expansion pass for Nintendo Switch Online. One of the games that they featured there, which was probably like the lowest profile one there was Operation Winback. And I saw that game, and every time I see Operation Winback, I think of my time playing the PlayStation 2 remake. This is the one that I played when I was younger. Decently good memories with it. But the thing about it was that it was my little cousin's game, okay? And I would always go over his house to play like PlayStation with him. And my 2 little cousins, I should say. And this was just a game that they happened to have that I always associate with those visits, okay? So when I saw that on Nintendo Switch Online, I was just like, you know what, maybe I should pick that up, because I didn't have it. So I go on eBay and I pick up the N64 game. Even though the PS2 game is where I'm nostalgic for, I'm like, I'll get that at some point. So, fuck, what happened was, like, this was a scary thing. Like, I'm not like how should I put this? Fuck, okay. My little cousin died the same week that I bought this game. My little cousin, he was 28. It was unbelievable, you know? And, yeah, it was, after you hear that, you know, obviously you go for, like, grieving and shit like that, the shock, but I couldn't get this game out of my mind, actually. The fact that I got it so close to that happening. And I'd never finished it before. So I somehow got it in my head, guys, that me finishing this game was going to be, like, my sort of, like, send-off to my little cousin. I don't know, it's just something that, I guess it was my own little way of coping, I suppose. So I was just like, right, I'll pick up the PS2 version and I'll start playing it and get to the end. Because again, I'd never done it before. And this game is so fucking terrible, alright? It's, okay, maybe not terrible, but it is so fucking frustrating, alright? Like, I sat there on my little, like, gaming setup there, alright? And I'm playing through this fucking game. And it's very old school because it operates on, like, a checkpoint system that you only get, like, once or twice throughout, like, a potentially, like, 20-minute level. So if you die, you're repeating, like, big amounts of it. And it was just so frustrating. I was screaming. And I was, like, dying all the time. And I think I, like, stayed up to, like, 4 in the morning to actually, like, finish this. Because I just wanted it finished. And it got to the point where I was, like, screaming out my little cousin's name. It's like, it's fucking shit! It's fucking shit! You know? And, yeah. I got to the end of it. I finished the game. I got the worst ending, because I didn't give a shit. I can't even remember how you get the better ending, because it has multiple endings. But I think it was something to do with, like, you have to beat it in a certain amount of time, which I was failing at, you know? Like, because I was just taking too long to do shit. And I beat it, and yeah, I didn't feel any, like, satisfaction whatsoever. But yeah, it's like I'm never gonna be able to, like, think about this game and not think of my little cousin. And I know it sounds weird, guys, that I didn't do a collection update for 6 months because of this, but it just put my mind in, like, a weird place. It was just such a weird coincidence that happened the very week I bought this, and I just felt like I had to do a full playthrough, and I couldn't do a collection update because I knew I wouldn't be able to talk about this game without talking about that. But I've done it now, so I want to, like, I guess I want to like put that behind me now, because, like, every time I even looked at this pile of games, I would see, like, this in amongst it and just, like, be reminded it's like, oh yeah, I better get around to that. But yeah, that's like a little story I just threw out there. Just for me, basically. You know, it's like my own little, like, I guess, coping, I suppose. Because it was a big shock, for sure. But feels good. Feels good to finally tell that story. And, yeah, Operation Winback, it's fucking shit. Don't play it. Not even free on the N64 online expansion. It's fucking shit. But, whatever. There's a sequel too, okay? I don't know. I morbidly want to try out the sequel or something, but we'll see. Maybe I'll need a bit more time to cope after the trauma of that game, but whatever. There we go, guys. Hopefully we'll be back to regularly scheduled collection updates. Haven't really bought too much over the course of 6 months, to be fair. Maybe that'll change soon, but I don't know. We'll see anyway. But thank you for watching, guys. I fucked up my outro again. See yous after. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.